What's shaking, everybody? First off, let me start by saying Happy Easter to anybody that celebrates the holiday. Um, Blackout 7, man. Let's jump right into it. I'm only going to talk about day one in this blog. Day two had some technical issues, so I didn't get to see all the battles. And I definitely need to watch Head I.C.E versus Rone at least one more time before I talk about that one, because that was a crazy battle. Congrats to Head I.C.E though for getting that chain, and salute to Rone. That was a great performance. Um, Day one, I didn't get to see Aftershock versus Jeffrey on the first night that it aired live, but I watched it over. Me personally, I had Aftershock 3-0. Jeffrey's good or whatever. He's funny. He has some jokes, but I felt as though he kind of raps with a style where like he seems too nonchalant about his material. Like he's rapping, and he kind of it's like his presence that he projects or like emits to the crowd and to the audience and to the cameras, where he doesn't really seem as though he cares, or it's not that he doesn't care, but he's not too certain about his bars at times. He's more monotone with it, and he kind of laughs at his own jokes at times, when sometimes I'm hearing the jokes and I'm like, it wasn't that funny. Like, there's certain technical things that I think he needs to tighten up. I'm not saying that I don't want to see him again. Salute to the brother, you know what I'm saying, did his thing. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement though. Aftershock just had way more of the complete package. Angles, performance, delivery, setups, punches, the whole nine. So me personally, I gave the Aftershock 3-0. DNA versus A Ward. Salute to both of y'all brothers. That was a dope ass battle. I had DNA 2-1. First and the third. DNA was spitting his heat, man. Really spitting his heat. I was happy to see him show up with a full clip. I mean, at the end of the day, DNA is it's been a long time since people were looking at DNA like, oh, he battles all the time and all his shit is whack, you know. DNA, since linking up with NWX and making certain technical adjustments with his performance and his bar structures and everything, he's been pretty much super entertaining every single battle he's in. Now, regardless if you're just tired of seeing him because DNA battles everywhere or all the time, so to speak, at the end of the day, he's not battling and performing like straight ass every single time. He's performing with some heat every single time, and it was no different versus A Ward. He really put on a show, very solid performance. You know, I was happy to see him deliver the way that he did, and the same with A Ward, man. A Ward, confident, you know, Christian rapper. He emulates that type of confidence on stage. One thing about these style clashes with Christian rappers versus, you know, regular, just non-Christian rappers, dudes who can curse and talk about fucking chicks and hold up a gun, you know, hand gesture, talk about murdering someone without having to say it's imaginary gun bars, or it's I'm not in the streets, but if I was, this is how I would do it. You know, someone who just say this shit freely. A Ward was making faces. I'm gonna do a side blog about this, not just about him, but just battle rappers in general. He was making faces throughout DNA's shit. When DNA would spit certain like Christian angles, and it was kind of irritating for me as a viewer, because you can't like act as though like, oh, you're a Christian rapper and you're not gonna hear someone say a Cain and Abel type of bar, or Adam and Eve, or once you cross lines, you know what I'm saying, or JC, whatever the case. Like, you can't, on the third day, resurrection, like, you can't expect your opponent to not come with those type of angles, especially when you're coming with the type of angles where it's like you're living your life wrong because XYZ, I'm here to save your soul. Like, for all the Christian rappers who be making faces and making side comments to people on the sidelines, like, y'all need to cut that shit out, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, your opponent could do the same thing to you. You're spitting the same, you know, Jesus is better, my lifestyle is this, you're lost in the streets that, you know, I'm here to save your soul this. Like, you think people haven't heard that before? Christian rappers and battle rap was a new thing years ago. Matter of fact, let me stop. I'm going to do a side blog about that too. A Ward DNA was a fire ass battle though. And I like I said, while I gave it to DNA 2-1, he really kicked up in the third, and his second was alright too. First, I like DNA's first for sure, and his third. But I can see people giving it 2-1 to A-Ward as well. That's a debatable battle. That's one of those things where you could just put your opinion in, and if people want to disagree, you have to respect their opinion. It's not like a clear 3-0. They both elevated their stock, so to speak, or at least DNA stock didn't drop off. A-Ward stock definitely rose, and DNA's just stayed respectable. Yo, he's DNA, he puts in work. You could book him for however much he charges. They could be getting, top dollar sometimes. You could be getting 20 racks a battle, for all we know. I don't know. But at the end of the day, when you shell out whatever money you're going to give to DNA, you know he's going to perform what the money is worth. You feel me? Like, he's going to put his effort into his bars, into the payment that he was given. So, salute to them. Next up, Chilla Jones versus Jonai. That was an easy 3-0. Easy. I don't see how anyone can debate that otherwise. No disrespect. No disrespect, direct. Salute to you and everything you've done for battle rap. And I don't think it was direct personally. I don't think so. Maybe it was someone else running the account at the time, but Rap Grid tweeted like, "Yo, I gave it to Jonai, the second and third round, 2-1 for Jonai." I was like, "What? Like, yo, that the fuck out of here!" So that was crazy. Y'all couldn't believe it. I had to blast him on Twitter too. Like, y'all motherfuckers is wilding right now. Like, how do you give Jonai 2-1 anything in that battle? Like, Chilla was scheming his life away. Like, I saw caps on Twitter saying, like, the battle was boring and shit like that. For anyone who still says Chilla Jones is boring, Chilla Jones, if you watch this, salute to you, dog. Don't listen to what nobody says, fam. Like, you do what you could do. I've seen you make adjustments with your performance, your projection, with your energy fluctuations, all that over time. If people still calling you boring, there's nothing you can do for those people, and just keep doing what you do, my brother. There's people like myself and a lot of other fans who fuck with you off of your pen, your schemes, your intellectual capacity, you know what I'm saying? The way that you perform, set up your bars and perform your shit, like the way you put everything together. I'm a big fan of Chilla because I know he's about to make me think. But this battle, clear 30-piece, scheme city, he schemed Jonai to oblivion. Like, whoever said that on Rap Grid's Twitter, man, salute to y'all. Y'all been putting in work. I would never take anything away from Rap Grid. I've interviewed Direct. I've talked to Direct, you know what I'm saying, at battle events and shit like that. Fuck with him. I just fucked with Direct before I was even on the scene, and when I was just a kid in my dorm room at St. John's, and even before that when I was at Beacon High School, you know what I'm saying, on 61st and between Amsterdam and West End, just watching battle rap, grind time and shit like that. Like, I've been rocking with Direct. No shade at Direct, but 2-1 Jonai? Come on, son. Come on, y'all motherfuckers is wildin' for that one, bro. Wildin'. Chilla Jones, 30-piece, all day, 100,000%. Cortez versus Daylight, fire battle. This battle it was really great, actually. I just literally, right before this, filming this, I just watched it for a second time. This battle is one where nobody really lost this battle. Now, granted, nobody really loses in battle rap, but this battle, no one really lost. And the reason is because I think it was A-Ward who... Was A-Ward? A-Ward or Rone, but I think it was A-Ward. I think it was A-Ward. He said that he was being interviewed at the pay-per-view, and he was like, who you think won? And he was like, well, you know, if you want to judge rapping, Daylight won. But if you want to judge the battle, Cortez won. And that's the honest way you could look at it. Cortez, if you judge it by battling, Cortez won the battle. If you judge it by rapping, Daylight out-rapped the dog shit out of Cortez, 100,000%. You can argue if you're going by the battle, like who's getting at their opponent better, more effectively, every bar, every line counting, every word, every setup, blah, 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 all that type of shit, angles, whatever the case. You could argue Cortez 3-0, definitely 2-1 if not 3-0, but at the end of the day, like in the venue, you could watch on camera in the third round when Cortez was Cortez was cooking in his second. Cortez was spitting some heat in his second, but his third round, he was really like going off. But you could even hear Cortez, he was like, I'm fucking you up. And then he kind of like, he took a pause, and it looks like he thought in his head, like, damn, but Daylight was out-rapping the shit out of me in rounds 1 and 2. So he was like, I'm fucking you up. in this round. You know what I'm saying? Like, Daylight's rapping ability was so on point for this battle that even Cortez, I don't even think in the battle he felt confident saying, I'm fucking you up 3-0. I'm fucking you up this round. You know what I'm saying? But me personally, I say this is a battle where no one really lost. Cortez, you know, he's always been a person that just, it's the Spanish thing. It's, I don't know, something about his personality. I don't know what it is. Something about his pen game, something about his performance, something about his delivery, something about Cortez that he's a true veteran of the sport. People will probably argue over his legend status. He is definitely one of the most, I'm not even going to say underrated, but underappreciated. That's the key. He's one of the most underappreciated battle rappers in like the history of battle rap, 100,000%. He's a dude that just never gets his dues. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't get like the appreciation and the acknowledgement that he deserves. But Cortez, in my opinion, stock rose again after this battle. But I really like the fact that Daylight came to really rap for this. And with Daylight, man, he's at a position where he's always kind of been this way, though, where he'll battle you, but he often doesn't 100% battle you. Oftentimes he's battling you while spitting about some extra shit that like has nothing to do with you or this battle, like just stuff that you have to really stop and think about. And it's like, oh, he's talking about this social issue with this or something with that. Like he raps about bigger picture shit. But in this battle, he was rapping about bigger picture shit. Throwing a shot to Cortez too, of course, but the entire package was crisp. It was solid. For me, his third round, when he does that, should I keep going? Should I keep going? I don't really like that. You know, it's not like it's bad. I mean, in the building, I get it. You know, you get that energy up. But for me on camera, it kind of throws momentum off. Don't say, should I keep going? Just spit your shit. Just keep going. Just keep going. You know what I'm saying? But that battle was dope. And when it drops on footage, or if more people buy the pay-per-view before it drops on footage, I could see people giving it 2-1 or... yeah, I'll say 2-1 either way. Dizaster versus Serius Jones. I watched this one a second time right before I started filming this too. For me, this battle, I tweeted, I said 2-1 Serius Jones the night of the battle. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Nah, 3-0, not even 2-1. And to be real, I'm going to kind of stand behind the 3-0 for Serius. You can say 2-1 for Serius, but I still, regardless, I think Serius won. Dizaster, I've been a huge fan of Dizaster since back in grind time. Like, back when Dizaster was battling fucking back the Thesaurus, fucking Dumbfounded, Immaculate, A-Class, like mad people, bro. Like I've watched PH, like I watched mad Dizaster battles. I watched Dizaster battles where I don't even remember the opponent's name that he battled. To be real, like I've watched that many Dizaster battles. Legit St. John's, like freshman, sophomore year, junior year. I can't tell you how many nights I should have been up doing my essays and shit, and I would just be up from like midnight until fucking 6, 7 in the morning. Not even go to sleep, just watching battles, and then just boom, go to class. Like I used to be wilding with battle rap, bro. I used to watch that shit all night. But I've been a huge fan of Dizaster for a long time, and Dizaster, he's a dude that's like so energetic. You know, I don't know if he has like a condition on the low, or he just, you know, got that energy. But for me, sometimes, especially in more recent years, and I want to say after the math shit to a certain degree, I feel like he has like a chip on his shoulder, you know what I'm saying? Where he feels like people look at him in a new light, or people look at him in a new sense of either respect or I don't know. But sometimes he just does too much. That hyperness that he brings, it's unique to himself and it's true to himself. But sometimes it's just too extra. The word extra is more commonly used now, so I'm going to say it. He does too much extra shit sometimes. And in this battle, Serius Jones, in my opinion, he kind of killed himself with the extra shit, you know. I watched it, and I remember he was going on Twitter going crazy. Oh, you know, Serius was fucking me up. He kept distracting me, trying to throw me off. And I watched this shit, and I'm like, yo, bro. Serius Jones must have like a special power to just piss people off in battles when he's battling them. Because he doesn't honestly do shit that other battle rappers don't do to other battle rappers and other person's rapping. He really doesn't. Like, he might make a little comment to himself or some shit, or off to the side, or he might make a little face or whatever the fuck. And he might even, you know, clap for your bars, a head nod, or whatever the case, give you a little mean mug or whatever. But he doesn't do anything out of the ordinary that every other battle rapper who fucks with other people when they're rapping doesn't do. He doesn't, be honest. Serius was, you know, he made little comments here and there. He's, you know, I don't know, making faces and shit. But when Dizaster really kind of got fucked up was when I think Serius kind of like, Dizaster said some shit and Serius just like kind of looked at him. And then Dizaster, they like staring at each other for a second, and then they both just kind of started laughing. Like, Serius didn't really do nothing to make you start laughing, bro. Like, if you're in the zone, you don't gotta laugh at shit. Like, you laughed on your own, you know what I'm saying? And, like, I thought he was just... And then after that, he was kind of being extra with how he would interrupt Serius. You know, he would blatantly say, yo, suck my dick, da-da-da-da-da, like, be in his face. He was the one making like extra faces to him, you know what I'm saying? He had his man's Valid, whoever that dude's name was, off on the sidelines, you know, popping shit. Like, I felt like Dizaster was just doing too much extra shit, and it was sloppy. His performance was sloppy. It was choppy. It just had moments where it was just like ups and downs, and it wasn't like enough like consistent like elevated moments for me to really be like, yo, Dizaster put in that work. To Serius Jones, he's one of the old timers where he's transitioned from... I remember when Serius really started to come back to battling, and I was like, yo, like, he's probably gonna get cooked in this day and age. And he was just... Serius is a hard dude to kill, man. He knows how to transition from his old era, where bars, to be honest, weren't nearly as complex, punchlines weren't nearly as intricate, schemes and shit was like pretty much damn near non-existent, especially to the extent that it is today. And, you know, just the caliber of what you spit wasn't as elevated as today, and he's managed to transition from what he did back in the old school era to now, and he's effective, man. He's hard to kill, and I personally had him 3-0. His second round was solid. He had some really dope ass schemes. His third round, you know, was, in my opinion, was really fire. Put on the cap and, you know, kind of G-check Dizaster for, you know, being a Muslim and going opposite of what your name is, bring good news and you name yourself Dizaster, shit like that. And Dizaster's first round, he just kind of was fucking up. You want to say Serious, whatever. You're supposed to be professional, bro. You shouldn't let what the other person does, especially if you're doing the same shit to them, even harder. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't let that fuck you up. So he fucked up. Serious. His first round for me felt a little bit short, but it was effective. You know what I'm saying? So I personally had Serius winning that 3-0, but I felt as though he also needed to switch up from focusing on the math shit a lot. And I don't know, he just said he has to polish it up. And so, like I said, Dizaster, he has to tone it down sometimes, man. He does too much extra shit, and it's just kind of annoying. It's just not, it's annoying, you know? When he pokes Serius on his chest mad hard, like, you could kind of say Serius has PTSD to a certain degree from what happened with math, but Serius reacted accordingly. You can't just go and then just start like that's, he was doing it, he did it one too many times. Did it one time, 2, 3, like he was poking him hard, like, bro, like, the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Chill with that shit. You don't gotta be like that. I looked at that whole situation like everyone who played ball back in the days, we've all gotten into a fight when we were kids with one of our boys where, like, let's say it's a loose ball and you're both wrestling for the ball and no one want to let go, so then all of a sudden you get into a quick little fight with one of your boys, you break up, finish the game, or maybe you don't finish the game, y'all split, part ways, and the next day you cool again. It felt like kind of one of those types of things, like a basketball, you know, on the court kind of momentary beef. But end result, Serius Jones 3-0. Blackout 7, day 1 was really dope. Day 2 was really dope too. Some technical difficulties that I guess was out of their control. I'm going to talk about Head I.C.E versus Rone, and Blackout 7, day 2, and another another video. Until then, happy Easter.